Are we good, Ruben? Okay. Can you hear me over there? Okay, all right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Megan. I am the Life Enrichment Coordinator for Personal Care, if you don't know me. And when I am not working here, I am a volunteer firefighter, and I run out of Sellersville Fire Department mainly. So you are here today to learn more about my experience in firefighting, so I hope that you enjoy. Now, throughout my presentation, I put some quotations that I found meaningful to me when I was going through my fire school training, or they were quotes that other fire friends have sent me. So this one says, "Wake up with determination and go to bed with satisfaction." So the main question, I'm sure you're all wondering why a young girl like myself became a firefighter, is because I was exposed to it at a very young age. So my mom and my Grammy, her mom, were both part of what we call the Ladies Auxiliary. So they are responsible for raising money through fundraisers to help the fire department get new gear, update old supplies, help with a new truck fund, anything that the fire department might need to better themselves. So I would go up and my mom would do what is called the Easter flower sale. If anyone went to Sellersville, that's an annual thing. And I would ride around on my little Razor scooter, 5-year-old Megan, running around up and down with the flower aisles and in and around all the fire trucks. And some of the firemen didn't like that, but no one said anything because my mom was like, "She's fine," and I always was. But some of the fire department men would let me look at their gear, and they would let me sit on the truck, and they would show me, this is the air pack, and this is the helmet, and these are our radios, and they would just really show me and introduce me to all of this cool stuff, and I just loved it as a kid. I found it so interesting. So I got older, I was in high school, and I wanted to become a firefighter. I was like 13 when I decided that that was something I was interested in. But of course, at 13, you're too young. A junior firefighter has to be age 16. So I waited. 16 rolls around, and I'm in the marching band and the jazz band, and I was really happy with school and my extracurriculars, and I knew I wouldn't have the time to do firefighting. So I pushed it off. I said, I'll wait till college. Then I go to college and realize I'm not home 9 months out of the year, basically, until summer break, and I didn't want to be in and out. I wanted to commit. So I waited, went through college, and then came home, and I was home for about a year after college, still living in the area, and I still wanted to join. And I said, you know what, this is my chance. So I decided that I would apply. I walked into the Sellersville Fire Department in April of 2024 and submitted an application to join. After that, I had to go through Firefighter 1, which is the kind of like a catch-all basic training. And then I was able to pass that in December of 24 and became an official interior firefighter. So when I applied to be a firefighter, there are specific requirements that you have to do in order to remain a member in the fire department. And they include attending fundraisers, going to meetings, making drills, making calls, and getting classes, trainings, and certifications. So we're going to kind of talk about all those a little bit. So the first one I want to talk about is our fundraisers. If anyone's gone to any fire department fundraiser, you know that we have plenty throughout the year. We do ham dinners twice a year. We used to do a breakfast. We don't do that anymore at Sellersville, but some departments still do that annual breakfast. We'll have the craft show. We could do hoagie sales, soup sales, the Easter flowers, which is the picture that you can see here with the hyacinths. We have our week-long carnival in the summer. We have, at Sellersville, we're lucky, we have this nice outdoor space that we call the Grove, and you can rent that for different birthday parties, weddings, bridal showers, etc. So we get some fundraisers through that, reserving the hall, which is our inside venue, or our grove, our outside venue, and we have tons of bingo. Any bingo you can imagine. We have cash bingo, kitchen bingo, basket bingo, his and hers bingo. We have a book bingo. We've got sportsman's bingo, purse bingo. We've got it all. So the next one, I know this screen is hard to read. You do not need to read it. It's just to show how massive our drills can be. So this is talking about our drills. We have a drill every Thursday, and it could be about anything. So the first one on that list says packing and flaking hose line. So you'll learn how to pack it on the truck, and then you'll learn how to deploy it off the truck, either solo or with a partner. You can learn how to flow water. You can learn how to advance a charged hose line into a building and maneuver it around obstacles. You can have a drill training on ladders and how to clean them, maintain them, how to put them up, how to take them down. Ropes and knots. You can learn all these different types of knots. So many I don't even know. There are just so many different drills that we can do. Last Thursday, we just did a drill for vehicle rescue, and we had a vehicle. We went to Wilcox, which is in Dublin. It's like a junkyard, and we had one car on its side and one car on its roof. And we had to learn in that drill to stabilize the vehicle and then get the victim out. We have like a foam dummy that we can use. So we just did that this last Thursday. And then this Thursday, in a couple days, we are going to be doing a live burn. And that will be, we use basically hay is the easier way to explain it, where we put that in a concrete building, and we'll have someone light that on fire, and our chief will radio to us, oh, there's a fire on the second floor, unknown victim entrapment, and then we have our crews, and we'll go in and pretend it's a real building on fire, and we'll do a search and rescue. We'll have water, a hose line crew trying to knock down that fire, and then we'll do salvage and overhaul at the very end of the night, which is kind of cleaning up all the mess we just made. And the quote I have at the bottom says, "Don't practice until you get it right. Practice it until you can't get it wrong." And that is just, it's so meaningful, because you don't want to be in the middle of a fire trying to tie a rope to help save yourself, or if someone else is in there, and you can't see, you can't feel, your blood pressure's high, you're moving, you're running around. The last thing you need to do is be stumbling because you don't know if you did it right. You want to be able to know that you can't get that wrong. I have some more quotes here, which say, "Make your own luck, and tomorrow's victory is today's training." And that's why we do so many drill nights. We want to practice, practice, practice. So I know these pictures are a little bit small, but they are pictures of me. So this was a night at Sellersville when we were flowing water through our hose. So the one directly in the middle, I am holding the nozzle, and I have someone behind me who is our backup person. So he is pushing that hose into me to kind of cancel out the pressure of the water pushing that nozzle back. So there's an alternate pressure to kind of cancel it out so that I can move that hose wherever I need to knock down that fire. This is another set of photos. This is when I was actually new and I did not have my Fire 1 school yet. So this is a very early photos of me. But we were doing vertical ventilation on a roof. So we were using a chainsaw, and I learned how to make a little, like a sample cut. It's a triangle, and you put it on the roof. And if there's smoke coming out, you're in a good spot. You can keep going. If there's no smoke coming out, you're not in the right area. And that's to help preserve the roof. You don't want to just ruin it all. You want to try to save a little bit if you can. But this is just showing the steps to cut a roof properly. So you cut the farthest side away from you. Then you cut your top line. You cut your bottom line, and then you cut the line closest to you. And you do that because you don't want to be standing over smoke coming out of the roof. Would not be fun. All right. So we are going to talk about my gear. I know everyone is very interested in seeing the gear that I have. And in Firefighter 1 school, in order to pass, one of our tests was doing what we call a 2-minute drill. What that basically means is you have to get all of your gear on, you have to have your air pack on, and you're breathing on air all in 2 minutes or less. What I have listed under here is our gear. So we have our helmet, of course. We have our Nomex, or a hood, and that covers your neck. We have a mask. We have our air pack and regulator. We have our jacket. We have pants with suspenders, boots, gloves, and I have a radio strap with me as well. So, if I can find the mouse, we're going to watch a 2-minute drill.
My name's Chris Chalk. I'm the training director for the Madison County Fire Department. One of the drills that we have to do, or firefighters have to do whenever they first get in the fire service, is learning how to put their... We've got to be able to make a quick response to get in the engine and get to the people who need us in a timely manner, and that is one of the drills that we've got to do in under 2 minutes. Be fully suited up, because we may even show up on scene not suited up because we're volunteers and we bring our gear with us. So the quicker we can get in, the quicker we can get to you.
I'll do it for the next one. And then I need this mic on. Okay, so that was pretty quick, right? Now, granted, I think that they sped that up a little bit just for time's sake, but it is quick when you think about it, only 2 minutes. So I remember going through and practicing this with my mom, and we would go to the firehouse, and I would practice and practice and practice, and it was like, 3 minutes, okay, and then it was like 2.5, and it was 2:20, and it was a slow process. And then there was the one, something got caught, I think my jacket, I got this coat opening stuck and I couldn't get it out, and I was like, oh, just forget it, let's just start over, do it again. And they were like, just keep going, just see what happens. I got it under 2 minutes on that one. So I learned very quickly that you can't let the time limit stress you out. You have to just breathe and put it on, and you can actually put it on at a pretty decent rate and you'll get it there in the 2 minutes. Now, Ruben, can you switch me? Thank you. Ooh, okay. Good. So now's our test. What do you think I should put on first? I'm hearing boots. You would be right. So, we've got our boots. Now I'm going to put them on, so hold on. All right, step 1 complete. What's next? I'm hearing a lot of jacket or coat. You are very close. That is number 3. Our second item is our hood or our Nomex. We want to make sure this is tucked under the jacket. And now the jacket. All right. Ideally, I would put my radio strap under my jacket to help protect the radio, but I'm not going to be putting this on. You put it on like a crossbody purse just right over your head. But I don't think that you need to see that. It's going to be covered under the jacket. All right. So what do you think is next? If I'm going into a burning building, what would be the next item that I would wear? I heard air pack, I heard mask, helmet, what was that? Oxygen. Yeah, so for me personally, I like to put on my air pack next. That way it's not getting caught on anything. There are 2 different ways I can put this on. I can put it on the backpack method, or I can put it on the over-the-head method. Which one would you like to see? I heard over the head pretty loud, so I'll do that one. All right, who's going to try that next? All right, we had a question. How much does it weigh? The air pack with its brace and the oxygen cylinder and everything, I actually just weighed this last night. This is 31.5 pounds, just the air pack on my back. When I weighed myself in all of my gear, air pack and everything included, I was wearing 62 pounds of weight added to me. All right. So we've got 3 items left here. We've got a face mask, we've got our gloves, and our helmet. Face mask, very good. So we have a little protective cover on here, so I'm going to take that off, put this on, and you're not going to recognize me after that.
Can you hear me? Okay, good. So, after I put my face mask on, you probably saw I pulled that hood over top. That is to create a seal so that the side of your face does not get burned. So now I will put on my helmet I will turn on the air pack, put it on air, turn on my gloves. There will be loud, high-pitched beeping. Just don't be alarmed. Can you still hear me with this? Okay, good. Do I look like me? No, I don't. So imagine you're stuck in a house, or a kid is stuck in their house, and they see this coming at them. They're probably not too excited about that. All right, now I'm gonna take the oxygen off because I don't want to use up all of our air in this cylinder. Now, let's say something happened in the building, right? Maybe I got stuck, I got lost, something happened. If I stand really still, my air pack will start to go off. It gets pretty loud. That is so if you get stuck or something happens, your fellow firefighters can come find you. They follow the noise. Now, it is very hot in here, so I'm going to take this off.
There's going to be one more really loud beep for me to turn this off. Got it. Okay. All right, can we get the picture back on, Ruben? Thank you. So I know you just saw me in my gear, but these were pictures of my gear rack and my gear on our tower that we have a red light that glows, and I thought that my gear looked really cool in the red light, so I took a picture. You okay, Alma? Okay. And here I am after successfully completing the 2-minute drill with my mom, always smiling. You can't really tell in there, but the thumbs up is pretty close. All right, so we're gonna move on to making calls. Now, this is a quote that actually my firefighter friend in the back sent me. It says, "The best accessory a girl can own is confidence and a Halligan." Now, we will go over a Halligan a little bit later, but I will hold it up so you can see it. So we will be going right to the Sellersville Fire Department website, and I can look up any incident that has happened recently, and I can give you a little blurb, and it'll show a photo of that incident. So this one happened, it was on April 11th. We had drill the day before, and this happened the next day, and it was the exact same scenario. So the photo on the right is our drill night, a car on its side with a victim trapped. The photo on the left with the wooded background is the real scenario. A car had ran off the road and landed on its side, and we had 2 victims in the car. So I got to go on that call, and I stabilized the vehicle to make sure it wouldn't roll over, and we were able to cut the windshield with our glass cutter, and both victims were unharmed and able to walk out through the windshield of their vehicle, and they were able to go home. Besides what I've told you, which is burning buildings and vehicles, we also have to learn hazardous materials, and that's what this call was, which is a spill trailer. So if oil leaks, or if there's gasoline on the ground, or any type of like a chlorine, we have to be ready to contain that so it does not spread. So this was an oil tanker that took a spill on its side and had some oil leaking out, and we had to clean that up. And this one was on the 1st of the year, so, Happy New Year to this poor family. But their house caught fire, and it was Sellersville and Percy were on that call. If you can see, I know it's a little bit difficult, there is smoke coming out the side of the roof up here. And we have someone on our tower who will be doing a vertical cut for ventilation. There are just so many different calls I could pull up, but I don't want to spend all day looking at them. But we do a bunch of different things. We get called for lots of different problems. This happened on California Road, which I believe is in Quakertown. This video was taken by another firefighter, and he had a GoPro that he attached to his gear so it could kind of video everything that was going on. It's not super thrilling. I feel like when you think firefighting, you think like action-packed, super thrilling, overwhelming, but sometimes it's just standing there on like a standby, waiting until they need your manpower help.
you looking at Tom? We'll do a face-to-face over there then.
So for the standpoint of the gentleman holding that camera, not very exciting, right? Just kind of standing there watching. But if the video was on the gentlemen that were on that roof, I'm sure it would have been a little bit different. You could see, depending on where you were in the room, there were some flames coming out of the roof for a little second. You could see some of the tops of the flames licking through that roof, and they were doing a vertical cut. And if for some reason there was a video of a firefighter within that building, I can pretty much guarantee that you would just see black and gray, because it would just be so smoky, you wouldn't really be able to see anything. There we go. All right, so now we're going to talk about some classes and training. So the main one, which I've talked about a couple times, is Firefighter 1. That for Sellersville and most fire departments is a mandatory class. It is kind of like a catch-all class. You learn a little bit of everything in there. It's the general guidelines. Then the next ones that I took were RIT, which is Rapid Intervention Team, and VRT, which is like vehicle rescue training. Those for Sellersville are very important to take, because if without those, you cannot go on those types of calls. After that, of course, there's Firefighter 2, there's a Safety and Survival, there's Knots and Ropes, there's a Hazardous Materials class, Ice and Water Rescue, there's the Art of Reading Smoke, which is apparently a good one, I've heard, and there's just so many classes. If you can think it up, I'm sure there's a class on it. So for Firefighter 1, you have to pass that class with a C or better. I got a B, very excited about that. In that class, you learn a little bit of everything. So that's ladders, that's hose lines, that's a little bit of hazmat or hazardous materials. To do CPR and AED, it's everything. So in my Firefighter 1 class that was in the fall of 2024, we had a class of 32. Can you guess how many females were in that class? I'll give you a hint, it's more than 2. I see Annie holding a 4. There were 4 females in my class of 32. So what's that, like 1/8 of the class? And that's where it is at Sellersville too. We have a little over 30 and we have 4 females. So it's holding steady for that factor. In the picture on the left we were broken into 3 groups. So that was my group of 10. And then the photo on the right, we're learning. So I don't even know what we were learning in that photo, but we were looking at the instructor learning something. Just some more photos. So the one on the far left, I'm fixing my face mask because something got stuck in it. On the bottom, I am doing a vertical cut on roof grade plywood, so it's thicker than normal plywood, and it's resting on a hill, so we're not on a building, you're not going to fall. But we're practicing using what you see as a ladder. It's a 14-foot roof ladder, so we have it hooked over the top of the roof, and you can put your 1 foot on there to help stabilize yourself. And if you can see under my left foot, I have an object hanging down. That's a Halligan bar, and I'm using it to hold me up on this roof to cut down or cut a hole out with an axe. Now, we don't normally go for the axe method. We usually go for a chainsaw now, but you can. It's not unheard of. And then the photo on the bottom right, we are practicing hydraulic ventilation. So we are using our hoses, and we have special nozzle. It's a fog nozzle, so you can turn it, I think it's left, and it'll open it up more, kind of like a shower. And if you turn it to the right, it's going to be more of a straight stream, and it's going to be more pressure. So we open that nozzle up so it's wider, and it's the width of the window, And what that does is it creates this funnel-like pattern, and it'll suck the smoke out of the room and out the window. So we were practicing that. In the photo on the top, we pulled a prank on one of the guys at fire school, and we put a bunch of cones on his car, just for fun. So we're gonna do some photos of my graduation from Firefighter 1. Yes?
Did anybody flunk the first test?
So the question was, did anyone flunk?
Because I know my daughter went to fire school, she said not everybody does.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we had a couple people that did not pass, or they flunked, but they're taking it over. And if you don't pass the first time, you can retake. So you have up to 3 retakes, and if you pass, or if you fail on the 3rd retake, then you have to take the class over. So I know one person that has to take that class over because he failed the 3 retakes. But most everyone passed on the first try, and we had no one drop out halfway through, which was very uncommon. The instructors at Bucks said that that's not happened in a long time for them, to have everyone see the end. So these are photos of the graduation. The one in the top center is all 32 of us posing for the photo. The one on the bottom, you can see the entire room filled with family members, other firefighters. We're sitting in there, just a bunch of people to support us on achieving this. The photo on the left is a photo of me with, I honestly don't even remember his name, but he was handing out the certificate saying I passed, so we get that fancy photo. And then on the right, I'm at home. One is with my dog on the top right. My dog's sitting with me. And that is our Class A uniform, so worn for very special occasions like graduation, I think for some parades and funerals. And then we have different class uniforms for different functions. The next class that I took was RIT, which stands for Rapid Intervention Team. And this is basically the group of firefighters that will stand outside of a building. If it's, a burning building scenario, we'll stand outside the building with our air packs on, but not breathing on oxygen yet. We're just ready to do that. And we're standing there in case a mayday is called. Does anyone know what a mayday would be? Any guesses? Or if you have really good eyesight, you can read it. If you're lost, let's say you get separated, you always go in at least a group of 2. If you get lost from that person or your group of 3, you can't find them. They're not within physical distance or hearing distance. If you're stuck, so you're stuck in wires, or the room kind of collapsed and now you can't get out the way you came, you're stuck. If you get injured or you're a downed firefighter, something happens and you can't walk, or, something else. If the floor collapses, if you fall through the floor because it collapses under you, you're going to call Mayday. If there are signs of flashover, now we never want it to get to that point, but it's where basically in a snap of a finger, the room could just ignite, and that's very bad. If you're low on oxygen, so that very loud air pack that I had will start to just ding and chime and make all these loud whistle noises when you're low on oxygen, and that's basically telling you, well, you only got 1/3 of your air left. You better make it out the door, because who knows how far in you are. You better start walking. Or if you have a gear malfunction, maybe something ripped or tore or got burned. Along with learning all those Mayday problems, we learned how to use a ladder as a pulley system. So if someone was on the 2nd floor and they needed to get out a window, we could hook them up. They ideally have a belt here. My carabiner harness is not on mine right now, but there's a big carabiner harness that you can hook a rope onto, and then you can get them down by having men at the bottom of the ladder using that rope to lower them. So it's kind of like a trust fall. You can help people up if the floor collapsed, so you don't necessarily have to go onto the floor below. We learned how to do it with a charged hose line, where you kind of sink the hose line into the floor below you, and they sit on it kind of like a big swing, and then you have members on either side pulling, and it'll stretch the hose line up, and then they can climb back onto the floor that they were on. We also did horizontal drag and vertical drag, so if someone was unconscious or injured or they couldn't walk, you could literally just start grabbing them and dragging them down the hall. And we learned we call it packaging people onto a fast board, so that way they're more compact and you're not going to get an arm stuck here and a leg stuck over there. And then we learned something called the Denver drill, and we're going to show that because I think that it explains it way better than what I could explain.
I'm Lieutenant Paramedic Dustin Anderson, Station 4B shift, Ladder 4. Today we're down at the training center with some of our new recruits, and we are working this week on rapid intervention teams, otherwise known as RIT. Essentially the basis for it is getting a down firefighter or firefighters if they've had either medical emergency or disassociated from their crew, lost, whatever the case may be. They are being trained in order to call a mayday, which is a distress signal essentially over the radio, and activating what's known as our RIT team, which we, on every active structure fire, will have firefighters dedicated to that role in the event that we have a firefighter that's down. So what we're doing today is we're working on what's called the Denver drill. In 1992, there was a downed firefighter who lost his life. He was a 16-year veteran, and essentially the basis for it is that it was a confined space. He had been separated from his crew. It was a terrible fire, and from what we understand, it was a lot of filing cabinets and stuff like that. And so they actually published the dimensions at which they were trying to get that firefighter out. This was a second story window. It was not possible to get him down the way he came, essentially, just because of a partial collapse, heavy fire conditions, just otherwise known as an IDLH, which is immediately dangerous to life and health. Couldn't go back out the same way they came. So the width at which this is designed is around 28 inches, and where the windowsill sits is 42 inches high. And those are the exact dimensions of the actual event. So that's why we train on the Denver drill if we're ever faced with this situation. You guys ready? Let's go. All right, so we have one firefighter entering through the window. The windowsill is at 42 inches from the ground. The width is 28 inches in between. So what he's doing is he's coming in to provide packaging for this firefighter who's down in a really confined space, essentially. He's going to do what we call packaging, where he's taking the waist strap and essentially turning his pack into a harness. The second firefighter in just one moment is going to be able to get behind him and assist him in lifting him up, and the goal is to get him back out through the same window they came in. So in doing so, they loosen up the waistband of that downed firefighter. He's experienced some kind of medical emergency or running out of air or whatever the case, but we're not going to waste a lot of time. We're going to get him outside of this IDLH, which is a immediately dangerous situation for life and health. As you see, he's lifting him up. Get his shoulder straps nice and tight. Our second rescuer is in, and we'll have a third rescuer at the window, simulating that they would be at a ladder waiting for them, and they can communicate. So talk to each other, guys, while you're in here.
You ready?
Tell them what you need.
I'm lifting up.
Work together. He's going to go ahead and lift him up by the shoulder straps, while our second rescuer is underneath, and he's going to kind of help support and push up.
3, 2, 1.
Let's go. Ready, go, guys. Let's remember our simple commands.
Ready, go.
Keep going. Now what you can do is get under those legs if you need to.
Now, you ready? Ready, go.
Good. There he goes. And then let's get some help on the window, guys, as he comes out. Good. Now you need to get out as well. So now part of the drill is our rescue firefighters are going to bail. And we'll stop the clock. Be careful getting out, guys. And the clock should stop. What was our time?
2:17.
2 minutes and 17 seconds to get 3 firefighters in for rescue, getting somebody packaged, and then being able to get them back out the same window they came in.
Pretty cool, right? Now remember that 2-minute drill for the gear? Well, that was only 17 seconds longer. That was a long time. Didn't it feel long? So we got to do that. We had to try different ways. So the first way we tried it was just like that, where the victim, the firefighter, is on the ground, and I was the one that was wedged, pinned against that wall, the window wall, and I was hoisting this person up over my head, hoping that I could get them up to the window height. And then we tried it again where we put them on a fast board, and just to see the difference of, if you can, it's so much smoother to just pull them and slide them right out. But sometimes you don't have enough time or the resources to do all that. So the first 2 pictures on the left are our ladder pulley system. So you can see the one on the far left, we had someone going up and they were feeding the rope through the rungs of the ladder to get it up to that 2nd floor window. And then the picture on the far right is a horizontal drag. So they were showing us you can grab, I think we were grabbing the straps of the air pack for this to just kind of drag them around. And it's not comfortable for the person that's being dragged, but I think at the end of the day, I'd rather be uncomfortable and get out. And then we got to do vertical dragging, which means dragging up the stairs or down the stairs if you're lucky, but we had to drag up the stairs for practice. Of course, I'm on the far left trying to do a thumbs up, but with my gloved hand, it's a little hard to see. And then to drag up, we had a rope that we used to tie to the back of their air pack. And then we had 2 men at the top to pull that rope. We had someone immediately at their shoulder height also helping to hoist up every step. And then we had someone at the bottom with the down firefighter's legs on your shoulders, and you're pushing from below. So it took 4 people for our practice to get someone up a flight of stairs. And of course, our instructors made it a little bit challenging and gave us someone that weighed 280 pounds without his gear on. And we all know that I said my gear was 60 more pounds. So you can do the math, that's like 340 that we're trying to lift up a flight of stairs. So I have, going from the bottom left to the middle to the top right, is I got the under the leg position. So you can see I'm attempting with all of my might to try and get this person up 1 step. Is this on? Can we switch? Sorry. There we go. Okay. So I'm kneeling at the bottom of the step, and I have their legs on my shoulders, and I'm trying to use my thigh muscles to lift this person up 1 step at a time. And it was, I don't know, 12, 14 steps, whatever's in a normal staircase. And I'm pretty sure I made a very loud, obnoxious grunt every time because it was very challenging, but very satisfying when I did it. And I was like, you know what, I can do that. Yes, 1 point. And then the photo on the left, we have someone packaged on a fast board. So if you have the time or the resources, you can put a firefighter, it's kind of weird, but you put them face down on this plastic board because the way there's creases, and you can put your helmet brim and your mask in these like divots, so that way they're not crunching their neck. And then you tie their feet up, kind of like, I think they said it was like a pig, like a hog, you know, when you roast a hog, kind of like that. They were trying to make you laugh, you know. But then once they're all packaged like that, you can put other gear on them, like in the crook of their knee if you need, and then you can drag them where you need to go. If you can believe it, that's me on the left. So we were doing an evolution at the end of our RIT class, we do evolutions or scenarios to see if we can put our practice to fruition. So they were like, you, to me, come here, you're gonna be the victim, you're gonna be the downed firefighter. And at first I was like, oh man, like, I'm not gonna be able to practice my skills, that kind of stinks. But it was really funny, actually, so I had a great time. So they shoved me in a pantry closet. Here I am in the closet. And they took my air regulator off to signify, like, something happened with the mask and it came off. Maybe it's not broken, we don't know, but it was at least detached. So now I'm breathing in smoke. And they do get a fog machine, so they smoke the room up, which I assume is safe. They didn't say it wasn't safe to breathe, but I'll find out later. So they fill it up so that the RIT team has trouble seeing, right? You got to make it realistic. So they fogged the room up, and I'm in there with my regulator off, so I'm not on oxygen. And then to make it even more challenging, they got this coated wire and they started screwing it into the walls all around me. So that's what all that blue is, those lines. They put wires all around me. They wrapped it around my air cylinder, around my arm, around my leg. And then they shut the door on me and then they locked it and then drilled it shut. So my air pack was not even turned on. They said, do not turn it on, keep it off. Okay, I don't know any better, I'm just following direction. And you can have it go off on like the siren to say that there's an emergency with it off, so they told me to turn that on, which I'm not gonna do because it's very, very loud. So I'm sitting in this tiny pantry with the door shut and drilled, and I can't move. And they're like, all right, guys, like, we're going to start the evolution. And so they radio, oh, there's a downed firefighter. They're trapped. They can't get out. They're lost. They don't know where they are, blah, blah, blah. So they come into the second floor window, which is what they were told to do. Then we had cut a hole in the floor for a different practice in that same room that they were entering. So then they had to be careful to not fall into the collapsed floor, get around all that, come down the stairs, and find me. And it's smoky, so they're trying to, practice crouching or kneeling so that you're not breathing, you're not in the heat, right? Because the heat rises, the cold stays down low, and same with the smoke rises. So they're practicing that, and they're walking around, and then they pass the pantry door because they're listening, they're trying to find me. They pass the pantry door, and then they're like, no, we got to go back. It's getting quieter. Do you hear that? So then they back up, and they figured out pretty quick I was in the pantry closet, and then they had to force open the door. It's a good thing they brought their Halligan bar. So they usually come as a married pair, a Halligan bar to a fire axe. Now, I did not want to bring the axe in. I know you all know what an axe looks like. So they have their Halligan bar and their axe, and they can use however they need to try and get either the fork side or the adze side or their pick into the door, the space between the door and the door frame, and then they use the axe as a hammer. They use the flat side, and they will hammer the back side into the door to get a grip. Once it's in the door, they have to pry it open. So it's you against a big door, which I didn't realize was so difficult to force open until we had a practice. We have like a fake metal door that you can try, and they make it intentionally really difficult, so that way when you get up to the real door that needs opening, you crack it open real quick. I've never had to actually crack open a real door yet, so I don't know if that's true. But the one I've tried, the metal one, was very hard. But needless to say, they cracked open the door because I'm here to tell the tale, and then had to rip all the wires out and cut them out. And I have a really neat tool that was given to me if I can find it. It's a little handheld item, and it's basically a tiny oak cutter, and it can cut through pretty much anything. And I got to use this on that vehicle rescue that I went on last week and cut the battery so that it wasn't gonna, start anything. So I finally got to use it. So they cut all the wires off me, and then the instructors are there to help, of course, and they're going, oh, is she breathing? Like, is she okay? What's going on? And it's smoky, so they're like just smacking me in the face trying to find out if I have my regulator on, and they realized I didn't, so they just grab it and pop it on. It wasn't turned on. It's not going to give oxygen if it's not on. So I just kind of like vacuum sealed shut, basically. So if you've ever imagined being inside a vacuum and there's no air at all, that's what that was. So I very quickly get my thumbs. I was supposed to be unconscious, but I wasn't going to do that. So grab my thumbs to crack open my air mask so I could get some air. I did not want to become literally unconscious. And then we were able to, they eventually found out that it wasn't turned on, and they got the air on for me, but they were able to then just horizontally drag me right out the door. So some more quotes. If you believe in yourself, anything is possible. And if you want something you've never had, you have to do something you've never done. I can proudly say that I've done that. So the most recent class I took, and I actually failed the test the first time, which is unlike me. I don't usually fail anything, so I was very upset, but I retook it and passed, is VRT, which is Vehicle Response Training. So we get called for overturned cars or like the oils, tanks and trucks that fall over and spill, and we need this class in order to go on those calls if you want to respond as a person for rescue. Now, if you don't have this class done and passed, you can still go on that call, but you will be on as fire suppression, so you'll be holding a hose in case something ignites. But I wanted to be able to do the rescuing. So there are a lot of different collisions. So if you think you're driving a car, right, there's multiple different ways you can get in a crash. There's a frontal crash, right, head on. There's a rear, so someone hits you in the back. You can get a side or a T-bone hit if you're in an intersection. You can roll over, and then you're on your roof. You can have an underride or override, which is like a big semi-truck to a little sedan, right? There's a big gap there. You can kind of collide that way. And then there's vehicle versus a fixed object, so a telephone pole, a rock, a tree, and then a multi-vehicle collision. And they can be combined. You can have a frontal collision into a fixed object like a telephone pole. So there's lots of different factors that you have to think about that the victim may be experiencing, that frontal whiplash or the side impact and what might be affected. So there's a lot that you learn to make sure that you can assess the person that's entrapped quickly and then get them out of the car, so cut that car open and let EMTs come in and get them on the ambulance. So we have some stabilization tools. I tried to do some photos. It's kind of hard to tell, but I have wood cribbing, which is just like 4x4, blocks about 18 inches long, or 2x4s that are the same length. You can have a step chalk, which I don't know the material. It's not quite plastic and it's not quite rubber. It's somewhere in between. There's wedges, which is wooden wedges, but triangle shaped. We have a high lift jack, so if anyone worked on like a tractor, those same high lift jacks. High pressure airbags, which look like giant pillows that will blow up. We have Paratech struts, and you can use what's called a junkyard dog, all of which are different forms of stabilization, but all can achieve the same thing. So the one on the top left, those are Paratech struts. The one in the center on the very, very top is a step chalk. On the right, you can see some wood cribbing. In the very middle of the cluster, those are junkyard dogs. On the bottom left is the high lift jack, and on the bottom right are 2 high-pressure airbags that are inflated. And then we have our rescue tools. So there are multiple different types. You have on the top, and I have them listed in the same order as they go in. So the top left these are hydraulic tools. So we have O-cutters, we have spreaders in the top middle, and we have what's called a ram on the top right, all of which are used to either cut metal or spread it apart. We have battery-powered tool, which is the reciprocating saw, which is the middle left, which you can also buy those at the Home Depot. I saw them last weekend. On the middle right is a air-powered tool, which is it's the air chisel. So if you need to, it's kind of slow and really loud and will definitely be frightening to the person trapped, but you can cut the car with, it's like maybe an inch big, inch wide. You can use it to jam it back and forth, and it'll cut the car. And then we have our hand tools. So we have a center punch on the bottom left, which we use to break the glass on your car. You have in the bottom middle a glass cutter, which can be used on the windshield. And then on the bottom right, of course, is a halogen bar. You kind of use a halogen bar for everything. It's like the best multi-tool that we have. And then some photos from our vehicle rescue class. We had 1 car on 4 wheels, 1 car on its side, and 1 on its roof. And we learned how to stabilize a vehicle in all directions, and we learned how to use all different tools to cut windows, get the hinges off the door to open doors. And if we can do it's called like a dash push. So you use the ram, which basically is just this long cylinder that will expand, and it will push the dashboard up. So if it got crushed and is like on the passenger's leg and they can't get their leg out, you can uncrush it. So we got to learn a lot of different ways to get people out in very strange scenarios. And then I kind of forgot to mention that during Firefighter 1, I did meet my current boyfriend. His name is Nick, and we've been together now for a year and a half, and he is with the Chalfont Fire Company, and so somewhere along that way, I also joined the Chalfont Fire Company. They let me in special because they know I don't live there, but Nick and I will switch weekends at, our parents' homes, so they said that I could basically be like a part-time volunteer. So I was lucky enough to be able to get my own gear there, and I can go on calls when I'm down in Chalfont. And some last quotes here to end our hour-long program is, "Some women are lost in the fire, some women are built from it. Sometimes we are tested not to show one's weaknesses, but to discover our strengths. And before you give up, think about why you held on so long." So I hope that you found some fun facts, you learned something new, or maybe these quotes touched you in your own way. They don't have to necessarily be related to firefighting. They can be put in any situation in your life. But I just want to thank you all so much for coming and learning with me and letting me show you. And you can come up and see my gear. You can touch it. You can, I'll let you hold it. Depends on which one it is. And then I have 2 1 3/4 hoses and 1 1.5 hose up here. So if you want to feel what the fire hoses feel like, you can come up and I'll be more than happy to chat with you. But at this point, you are free to go. I'll be here if you have questions. Thank you.